Welcome, Love Bay family. We are back again, uh, here once again on the Champions Table. We got an amazing evening, night, morning for you. We have a special guest today. As you know, every time we come together, we have intentional conversations, real conversations with our guests about their life and how their life and their experience can motivate and encourage you. And today we have a special guest by the name of Andrew E. Guy. And as you know, I'll give a quick bio about him and then he'll come on and we'll have a great conversation. So, Andrew E. Guy is an award winning author, registered mental health practitioner, and peak performance resiliency coach who helps leaders and organizations build resilience and win without burnout. A sought after voice in the workplace well being and leadership development, Andrew has been featured on major media outlets, including Breakfast Television and Morning Live, where he shares high energy, practical strategies for turning pressure into performance and challenges into clarity. As the author of Work Your Words, Finding Your Pathway to Personal Success, Andrew blends psychology, performance science, and storytelling to deliver learning experiences that are both transformative and actionable. His workshops and keynotes inspire audiences not to just feel better, but to lead stronger, think clearer, and thrive longer. With over a decade of experience in education, corporate training, and mental health, Andrew partners with leaders to create teams that are resilient, engaged, and purpose driven. His signature program, Win Where You Are, Three Pillars of Resilience and Retention, provides a proven framework to help organizations build resilience, win without burnout, and sustain success from the inside out. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Andrew E. Guy.
All right. I am so pumped to be here, man. Listen, I'm telling you right now, it's gonna happen tonight. Tonight's the night.
It's a good day. It's a good
My
day.
brother, I am so pumped right now. Really pumped, man. Listen, man, I'm really glad that we're gonna chop this up tonight. And for all you viewers out there, welcome to another episode of the Love Bay. We're bringing it today, and
Yeah.
Nigel is gonna chop it up. The questions are gonna come like fire. So let me
Yes,
tell
they
you,
are.
make
They are.
sure you get a pen and get something to write on because we are about to drop some gems in the place. All
That's
right. So
right.
I want to
That's
say
right.
big up to everyone and thank you for the welcome, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you coming with the energy already, which we love. We enjoy that, man. We appreciate that. First and foremost, man, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. A lot of people say, oh well, we're in Canada now, so here comes the winter, here comes the storm, here comes the shoveling. But let me tell you something. People who are in the hospital don't even have an opportunity to shovel. They can't get up from where they are, they can't
True.
move. So
Yeah.
listen, it's an opportunity to say I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to live and move and have my being. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
blessing.
Okay. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have some, first of all, it's a conversation. That's how we always
Mhm.
go about it. We try to have a conversation. Yes, there's questions in the conversation, but it's a conversation first,
Yes.
right? So my
Yes.
first question for
Yes.
you,
Yes. Yes.
man, is what is a peak performance resiliency coach? I've never heard that
Oh my
before.
gosh.
That name is very unique. So I wanted to ask
Yeah,
what is that? What is a peak performance resiliency coach?
not a problem, man. First
Yeah.
of all, when we talk about coaching, my background is in kinesiology. I came from a kinesiology background.
Okay.
Went to school at Southern Arkansas University. My goal at first was supposed to go to medical school, but then I started my family and I started looking at if I'm going to go to medical school, then it's going to take me a couple of years. And when I get out of medical school, after 4 years, the brain's already developed. And so what am I going to be left with? I'm going to be fighting against covering a 24-hour shift and then splitting that the half in between my family and work.
Mm,
And when I look at what's happening nowadays with high performance resiliency coaches and high performance individuals and professionals, they're losing the battle. Hence the name of my book that's coming out called Win Where You Are. And so when I look at that and I weighed what would have happened to my family, I had to make a decision. And so instead of going to the medical route, I went to the mental route. And here's why. After I finished my undergrad in pre-med, I went back to do a master's in kinesiology and sports science. In sports science, we looked at resiliency. We look at the psychology that's behind resiliency and what motivate people. And beyond motivation, motivation may be an inoculation, as if you went to the doctor and you got like a shot in the arm. It's an inoculation. But after a while, it will wear off if you don't develop it. The most important part of this concept is the resiliency. And resiliency is not about bouncing back. Nigel, you've heard it before. It's the ability to bounce back. Bounce back from what, bro? Resiliency is like a root. It means to withstand all the trials, the tribulations, the challenges that gonna come your way. It's like we know we just had Hurricane Melissa in the Caribbean, right there in Jamaica, right? Came across it and mashed up the place. When we think of resiliency, think root. And my background with kinesiology and a master's in counseling psychology gives me that epitome to be able to coach people, to help them to retain that level of roots and sustainability so they can weather the storm. Okay.
Amazing.
So in a nutshell, resiliency, high performance resiliency coach, we're talking about a peak performance, because most people, and I give it to you like this, very, very simple. People are trying to do three things in life. They want to get good at something. And as soon as they get good at something, they see somebody else, well, I can get better at this. And as soon as they get better at this, they'll be like, man, then I want to be the best. And it creates a loop where you get trapped in that loop from going to being good, better, and best. And when you get to the top and you realize there is nothing better than the best, then you drop back down and come back up to create the loop again. So when I coach individuals, I want them to understand resiliency is staying power, but peak performance resilience is making sure you're renewing that energy at the highest level so you can sustain it. And that's exactly what I do.
Wow. Okay. Resiliency is peak performance and staying power. All right. I hope you got that. I hope somebody's writing that down. That was a bar, as they say. That was a bar. So let me ask you this, man, before we get there, because you've talked about the resiliency piece. What are the first signs of someone experiencing burnout? What are the first signs of someone's experiencing burnout? Because I know a lot of us have experienced it and not even realize that we've experienced it, right? We just think this is normal, but it's actually the first signs of burnout. So how can we, be aware of that and be cognizant of that as all of us in our work fields and so forth, man?
I'm gonna start with the awareness piece, man, because you just open up a Pandora box right now. Okay, when we talk about resiliency, the first part of burnout is when you realize you can only do so much. And I'm going to slow it down so everybody can get this. When you realize you can only do so much with the given time period that you have, it's an awareness. I feel exhausted. I feel like I'm giving, and nothing is coming back. I don't feel replenished. I feel as if I'm driving a standard shift car. I put it in first gear, I sink the clutch, and I get that, and then I don't have any more energy to switch out and put it into second gear. Burnout is when you realize you've given so much and nothing is coming back. You're going. It's like having a candle being burned at both ends, and then you come to the midsection, you realize there is no more candle to be burned, but the lights are still lit on either end. What do? You need to put out the lights on each end so you can save the candle at least for another day, so you can create some light so you can see where you're going. So to answer your question, the first sign of burnout is an awareness that I have nothing more to give because I haven't given myself enough time to replenish myself from what I have been doing.
Great, man. Great response. And I think, just my personal opinion, living in this Western society, it's almost like we're all in fields where they put us at a place where it's like it's a constant go, as they call the rat race. It's really the rat race, but a lot of us are wondering, where are we running to? You know what I'm saying? Where are we really truly running to? So yeah, yeah. I'm glad for
Nigel,
that,
that's a
man.
that's a great. I love the way you put that, and I'm gonna. You mind if I kind of chop that up a little bit,
Yeah, go
boss?
ahead. Go ahead.
And the reason why I say chop that up as a resiliency coach, I got individuals who I'm surgeon who are in the medical field. Some are lawyers. I'm talking high performance individuals. Some are surgeons. Some are in the dentistry area. So these guys, if they're doing a surgery and the surgery goes for about 4 hours, they're on their feet for 4 hours,
Right.
right? So I
Right.
have to go in and I bring my background from a kinesiological perspective and help them to do weight shifts. Because when you weight shift, you get able to alleviate some of the tension that you will feel in some of the joint spaces. And that helps you to allow the joints to kind of relax, release the
Break that down
tension.
for us. When you say weight shift, what are we talking about there?
Oh, very, very, very simple.
Yeah.
Weight shifting is if you're standing on both your feet,
Right.
right? If you're standing in a position for a long period of time, you will feel pressure and fatigue in certain areas of the body. The
Got it.
body is broken up into different areas: lower extremity from your waist down, and then upper extremity from the waist up. When I say
Right.
weight shifting, I come from a martial art background. I've been doing martial art for many, many years, and I was an instructor when I was in the United States, right? So
Right.
when we weight shift, we're moving our body to balance the weight that we've been placed on our feet. So
Right.
another example, if I'm standing on both feet, I may lift one leg or I may just move my body. When you weight shift, you have to move the weight around from different areas of the points of the body that is bearing the weight. We call it weight bearing.
Okay.
Weight bearing is when I shift that weight. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Now
Definitely.
to go back to what you were talking about when we
Hmm.
talk about this thing of burnout, I help people in three ways. I said that I am a fork, I am a knife, and I'm a spoon.
Mm.
Many of my clients come to me because they have big problems. The problem is bigger than they can handle. So I said, okay, fine. My first approach is to get in there and listen. I listen first. That means I get an intake of what they're going through. And then I get out the knife. The knife in me is to take their big problem like a fist and break it up into manageable pieces. Because
Hmm.
if I can help a doctor, help a lawyer, help another high performance individual see that the problem is only as big as the lens that they're looking through, then they can realize I can reframe that thing and then break up the problem and make it more manageable. Does that make
Yeah.
sense so
Yeah.
far?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
After that, then we go into the motivation. The
Yeah.
motivation is the fork because I'm gonna push you. I'm gonna say you can, you will, you got to do this.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest cheerleader when it comes to pushing individual, but
Right.
I'll push them so far and they feel like I just can't do it anymore, and then they feel like, oh, I'm exhausted. So the spoon of compassion will come back and give them a pat on the shoulder and say, hey man, it's okay, take a break now. Let's rejuvenate, get some rest up, and come back at it tomorrow. So those are the three aspects of which I go when I'm talking about building resilience in individual and training individual at a peak performance level. And that's what it's about.
That's dope. That's dope. Okay, so let me ask you this, man. We went through something
Anything, man.
crazy
I'm here for
in
you.
in 2020 around that time, the pandemic. You know, I don't even want to
Talk to me.
mention the other name that we gave it. But how do you think the
Yes.
corporate expectations for employees have changed since then? You know, like
Oh, it's changed and it continues to change. That's a
right.
great question, man.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm coming from an anatomy and physiology perspective, and now psychological. So it's the
Right.
whole body I'm putting it together, right?
Right.
When we speak of body, I want you to think of the term somatic. So when I
Somatic.
say somat, I'm thinking that's the Latin term when we talk about the body tissue. All
Right.
right. So we are human beings. We interact. We like to socialize, and so here comes this pandemic. By the way, there was a TED talk that was given by, well, I'm not going to call in a name right now, but it was given by the person who's over WHO, right?
Right.
And I think the name Microsoft rings a bell, right? But
Right.
Bill Gates gave this presentation in 2017, says something is coming. And everyone was
Right.
like, what is coming? He said, something big is coming. And couple years later, here comes, this pandemic,
This
right?
thing. Yeah.
And so the yeah, interesting. But the pandemic came, but we're social individual. So the pandemic did something, right? It caused us from being social fists together, mingling. It separates us into a high five. So this dependency that we used to have as a fist together where we can stay warm, we're now separated. So now individualized individuals become weaker when they are isolated as opposed to when they're together.
Right.
It's kind of like using a mitten versus the glove in the winter. If you have a mitten, you're gonna
Right.
stay warmer because the fingers are together as opposed
Right.
to the glove. So the pandemic literally pushed people away and caused unnecessary anxiety in the elderly, the most who are at risk, and younger individuals. The middle section is like regular adult between like your 20s and early 30s and 40s, but we're all negatively impacted by the pandemic because we our social being have to now become antisocial, and that's where the big problem is.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I was speaking with somebody yesterday, and a lot of companies are
Uh-huh.
now moving back into this working at the office, right? We've done it for years,
Yes,
and I
yes,
think they've gotten
yes.
personally, I think they've gotten a lot more productivity when people were working from home, right? Because there wasn't that opportunity to socialize. There wasn't that opportunity to really have that team building. And because they're working from home, they ended up doing more work than they would usually do at the office, you know. So it's interesting now that they're changing things and saying, you know what, let's have people move back into the office and so forth, right? So it's a very interesting shift that has happened, you know, pandemic and now post pandemic, how we're doing things, you know. Yeah.
But did you see how you where you frame that?
Yeah.
How you frame that? I think everyone who's watching right now across the globe should say, "Oh my goodness!" I mean, Nigel just dropped another bar.
Yeah.
Boom! Here's what's
Right.
going on.
Right.
So the transition is what we have difficulty handling, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you give individuals, you prepare them and you give them prior warning, then they can get revved up. They can get some preparation, going on. It's almost like the storm that came to Jamaica. You were warned, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. But we were not prepared for the extent of the damage that was going to be
Yeah.
caused, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with the COVID.
Mhm.
After we come out of COVID, the problem with the main problem with COVID is that we've been overextending ourselves because the work is in front of us at home. We didn't get to disconnect from the work. Like you're in the workplace and you get to come home, the work is always there. So you become so desensitized to going, and don't know when to disconnect from the work. So now it's almost like you're a zombie that's always working and your brain is always ticking and you never get a sense of rest. You become restless.
Mhm. Okay, so let's
Yeah.
talk about this then. This goes perfect transition. So
Talk
what
to me.
does positive well-being in the workplace feel like, look like in 2025? Now that we're in 2025, what does this positive well-being in the workplace look like? Because everybody's trying to get to that. I hope, let me say this, I hope
Mhm.
that corporations and companies are trying to get to that place of positive well-being in the workplace. So what does it look like, Andrew?
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I want to say, first of all, I can't see for everyone, but I'm going to give my perspective. And the reason why
Yeah.
I'm giving my perspective, just like, oh, you have a camera, I have a
Yeah.
camera, and everyone else who's watching may have a camera. So what changes what we see is based on the lens that we're looking through. So if I'm
Right.
looking at a wide angle lens, then I can see more information, right?
Right.
If I'm looking at the telefocal lens, then I'm zoomed in, I'm really close to the issue. So if
Right.
I'm there close to the issue, then everything bothers me. I'm easily triggered. But
Right.
if I back up a little bit and look from a panoramic perspective, I can see more of the issues that I have to deal with. First of all, when we talk about positive thinking or positive mindset, one of my favorite authors of all time, James Allen, he wrote this book, and I have it in my library. It said, "As a man thinketh." And I want to put ellipsis at the end of that. That means it's saying more than the title says.
Right.
It's based on a biblical scripture. We are and we become what we think. So when we go back into the workplace, one issue that may make another person sad, it could be another thing that makes another person glad. So what the workplace needs to do is to slowly bridge the gap, realizing, letting individuals know that yes, you were given high five for the past 4 years coming out of the pandemic. You were isolated, right?
Right.
And so what we need to do is bridge the gap to slowly bring people back together. Because if you slam them back together, you're going to create or trigger another shock. And people are going to move away from each other again. So it's going to backfire. So what we need to do, bring in people like myself and people like you who are public speaker to educate those individuals in a corporate space to say, hey, it's a family that has gone on vacation and they're coming back together. We need some integrative workshop to help to bridge the gap in the workplace, to help individuals come back together again. They always say distance make the heart go fonder, right?
Yeah.
But distance only simply mean able to think and to value what these individuals all mean to me. And so we're coming back together. There needs to be a relearning, a retooling again for us to come back seamlessly together. And that's the looking part, right?
Right.
You mentioned feeling,
Right.
right?
Right. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Yeah.
Right. So the looking is that we need to get people on the same page. That's
Right.
looking, first of all. And
Okay.
that starts with an awareness, right?
Yeah.
The next part is the feeling. The feeling is we need to get an assessment. That means we're talking about needs assessment. Some of the things that I do when I go into workplace to do workshop. A needs assessment will kind of help you to find out what are the KPIs, key performance indicators, like what's happening, right, in the body of the workplace, because the workplace is a body.
Right.
Someone has a vision, someone has the ear, and someone has the thought processes to take the vision to a mission and get something done.
Right.
So what we're seeing, we need to make sure there's an alignment with how we feel, and how we feel is going to determine the level of productivity, because now instead of working against each other, we are working with each other. And I think that's what we need to do first, an awareness, and then address the feeling by doing a needs assessment to find out what's needed, and bring in individual external experts like myself and you to come in and help bridge that gap so we can bring the family back together again. Because regardless of what you look at it like, it is a family, and that's basically what a workplace is.
Yeah, you kind of answered my second question in this question, which is great. But I'm going to ask you, like, so specifically, what can employers do? What can leaders do to create a workplace that promotes positive well-being? And I think you talked about it from a big aspect, but from a day to day. Let's talk about from a day to day. From a day to day, what can employers and leaders do to create a workplace that promotes positive well-being?
The number one thing that they first need to do is they need to practice what they preach. I'm going to start with the leaders first, right? They when you think of the leadership, you have to think of the leadership as the head. And I'm using this metaphorically, right? As a man thinketh, so he becomes. So if the head has a different mindset that does not support the rest of the body, it doesn't matter what the body wants to do. If the head does not allow each individual to feel like an individual by acknowledging that that person is an individual with individual skill set, and then they come to the table with their individual skills, right? Then they can pack a punch and impact the entire workplace. The punch, what we're looking for is that motivation, is that buy-in, is everyone on board, and are they excited about what we're going to do? The
Mm.
next thing that leaders need to do is to not only acknowledge, but they need to go back to the days of Moses in the desert and his father-in-law Jethro. And I'm gonna give a quick
Mm.
example.
Yeah.
Moses was going crazy because he was like, these people, and he said verbatim, these people are about to kill me. They're about to stone me. I mean, a 500,000 plus people he was leading across the desert. There were no maps. There was no Google map. There was nothing, right? It
Hmm.
was have to depend on the Holy Spirit. He
Right.
was trying to do everything by himself. And then Jethro, his father-in-law, came and said, hey, what you're doing, quote unquote, is going to kill you. Hence, why leaders and CEOs are burning out faster than their regular employees, because they're burning the candle from both sides trying to make this thing work. So what Jethro suggested is that I need you to select team leaders. This started in Exodus, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? When you have, he said, break them up into 50s, break them up into hundreds, break them up into tens, break them up into 20s, and give each group leaders. The next thing, if we're going to make a workplace work, is to select individuals who are strong in their individual areas and expertise and assign groups of individuals. When that reduces the amount of work and push and effort that the head or the leader has to actually put forth.
Hmm.
The second part of that, Nigel,
Yeah.
is that the leaders need to recognize there is no tall eye and short eyes.
Mm.
Everyone have to get underneath the tabletop of the vision of the workplace and be a leg underneath the table.
Yeah.
Do
Wow.
you want me to break that down?
Yes, man. That's good. That's good. Come on. Come on. Come on with that.
You see,
Yeah.
because
Tell us about that.
okay,
Yeah.
this is the tabletop. I'm using my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the tabletop.
Right.
What if I have one leg that's longer than the other underneath the table? It's going to topple.
Balance. Yeah. Yeah.
There's not going to be any balance.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if I have Michael Jordan, who's 6'5", and then I have Matumbo, who's 7 feet. It doesn't matter what, and the height represents our background and skill set.
Right.
It means that if we want to balance this workplace table, the
Mhm.
tall guy has to assume the height of the tabletop to keep it level. That means there's no big eyes and little you.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to be on the same even and keel, the same page, so we can balance this thing.
Yeah.
And when we get underneath the table, we can together balance the workplace and make it harmonious. It's going to be joyful, and we're checking in with each leg underneath the table. Are you okay? Are you okay? To make sure we can carry this vision forward. So that's a simple way to put it in a nutshell. The tabletop is the mission and vision of the workplace. The legs underneath the table are each individual who are making sure they keep in the vision and mission afloat and level as they move forward.
That's amazing, man. That's a great way. I'll never look at the table the same again. I'll never look at the table again.
I love a table.
Yeah.
I love a table, man.
Yeah.
Because people put everything on a table, Nigel.
Yeah. Yeah.
They put their coffee on the table.
Yeah.
They put their books on the table. A table. Oh, listen, man. Oh, I'm getting so excited. There is a scripture that says, he created a table in the presence of our enemy.
Yeah.
Table doesn't just mean mission and vision.
Yeah.
A table also is somewhere where we come and eat, man.
Yeah.
Some of the best conversation happens around a table.
Yep.
So if the table is imbalanced, then guess what? We know that whatever is on it is going to topple over.
Yeah.
Mission goes to the side and vision run amok, and people don't know where they are, and then chaos ensue.
Yeah. So talk to me about this, man. So we talked about that. I think something that's very important in maintaining the mission and the vision is the concept of resting. The concept of resting. And I know, we've talked a lot about, resiliency and having that resiliency. How important is rest in this whole thing, especially within the we're talking about mental health or Men's Mental Health Month and all those good things. How important is rest? Yeah.
Rest is key.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring in my biological science into this whole deal now, because I believe that, when the scripture says nothing wasted, nothing goes to waste,
Mm,
right? It may
right.
be parked for a bit or remain dormant for a bit, but I guarantee in the right situation, right circumstances, you will be triggered and those things can be activated,
Yeah.
just like a hormone in your body.
Right.
So when I look at it from a biological perspective, right, we have trillions of cells in our bodies, right? We're constantly sloughing off skin every day. Every day, skin cells are dying, right?
Hmm.
But think about it. If we didn't have rest, then the body wouldn't be able to replenish those cells that are dying.
Yeah.
So rest is not just something that we do, it is a necessity. A perfect example is looking at the computer. If you're running a computer and it's just going all the time, then you'll notice that the fan on the inside of the computer will trigger, right? And then it comes on. The purpose of that is for it to cool down the processor, right? So the processor, when it gets cool, then it be able to process more information. But if I am running that fan over and over and over and over again and don't allow it to cool down, then it's going to crash and burn. One of the ways to prepare and to make sure the fan is doing what it needs to do or give it the optimal opportunity to function properly is to do a reboot. So when you rest is like reboot for the physical body and for
Mm,
the mental part of the body.
that's good.
We need rest to give us time to reboot, rebuild cells, repair cells, and to make sure that we're at our optimal peak performance. We're going back to that word
Yes.
again.
Yes. Yes.
And that's where my background in the science comes in. Peak performance happen when you add rest as part of your menu.
Okay. Okay. That's great. That is amazing. That's amazing. And
Thank you.
as you're saying, in the sense of, I know you're also a registered mental health practitioner. Is this something that you also? I know you're an advocate of preaching rest as well. That's one of the things
Yes.
that you definitely preach. Yeah,
Yeah, for me, and when I think about, I would rather use the word teach as opposed to preach,
I get it.
and here's why I say that.
Hmm.
Um, I think the world has more than enough preachers. And the problem
Hmm.
with preaching is that they're not doing what they are preaching.
Got it. Got it.
That's the difference between a preacher and a teacher,
Right.
right? Hence, this is why I am so fond of Jesus Christ, because he's not a preacher. Many call him a preacher,
Yeah.
but he was the first teacher. You see what I'm trying to say, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So a teacher is not somebody that just deliver some kind of dialogue or deliver some kind of presentation. A teacher demonstrates what he or she is saying, and then he or she stops to ask questions and to check in to see if the student which they're disseminating that information, if message sent is
Hmm.
the same message as what's received. In the classroom, and my background goes all the way back to teaching, because I'm also a registered teacher. I came from a teaching background in
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Florida,
Nice.
before I came into this profession, right?
Yeah.
So I'm giving you all of this to show you the wealth of the background that I bring to my clients and to individuals who work with me.
Right.
From a mental health perspective, I'm going to answer your question now.
Yeah.
I'm a registered psychotherapist. I'm certified with CRPO.
That's
When I talk
awesome.
about CRPO, Canadian Registered Psychotherapy of Ontario, right?
Awesome.
And so we deal with the mental health aspect of things. We help people to understand how they see trauma, how they deal with depression, what is anxiety. So I'm not just using an intervention to help that individual. I am also listening to their issues and what they present to me from a therapeutic perspective. We say, what is the client's presenting issue? What did they present you as?
Right.
Did they come as depressed? Whatever their issue is, and I start from there. I gather information and I use that to help them in their journey of what they're trying, whatever outcome they're looking for.
That's awesome, man. Let me ask you this question, man. What led you down this journey? Because it seems like you've had so many experiences, man, but now you're here. So what led you to this place? Yeah, that's my question. Yeah.
That's a great question, man, and
Yeah.
I want to answer it methodically in a way that is going to educate, as I said, teach
Yeah.
your listeners so they can apply it, because I think great teaching sets it up for the individuals who would listen, just like the King of Kings says,
Mm.
those who have ears, let them hear.
Let him
And
hear.
so
Yeah.
here's what's going on. I had this. I grew up in the Caribbean. I grew up in Jamaica. I'm originally from Jamaica, by the way. So
Okay.
all the Jamaicans who are listening right now, big up to you. All
Hmm.
right. And so just hang in there, because this too shall pass. With
Definitely.
little, but with talawa.
Alawa.
And I just want to
Yeah.
make sure everybody know that. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's my deal. I grew up in like in a setting where it was a tough childhood for me. My parents came here to Canada to create an opportunity for me and my siblings to come here and to have a better life. Well, in this time, I was staying with other individuals who were not family and so forth. So it was difficult not being there with mom or not seeing dad. And this happened from I was 6 years old.
Oh wow.
And after 6 years old, I started dreaming about like what is life going to be like, because mom is not here. And and every morning I got up, I saw mom, and now she's not here, right? But mom had a massive dream that she was going to do something amazing. She's going to come to any country that the Lord would lead her, and then she is going to work and then get all the funding that she can and resources to one day come back like Moses. She's my Moses,
Right.
and then take all of us here, right? So in that whole time, I had depression, I had
Mm.
anxiety, I even tried to take my own life, bro.
Wow. Wow.
And I say that to you because I want to not to look for pity from anyone,
Hmm.
because that's my life story now, but to use it as a vehicle to encourage your listeners that it doesn't matter how bad things get. Here is what I work. My T-shirt says, "I can only get better."
Yeah. 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 I like that. I like
You
that.
see what
I
I'm
like that.
saying? I
Yeah.
can only get better. This is one of our brands, and
Mm.
it's like when I was going through those tough times, I met the Lord, and he encouraged me, and he let me know that mom is coming back one day. Do you believe? If you believe, you will receive.
Yeah.
And I kept on believing and believing and believing. She came back, and then here we are in Canada. Long story short,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to read, man.
Oh wow.
I spent all of my time at Westview Centennial Secondary at
Whoa. Yeah. That's
755
awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
755 Oakdale Road,
Yeah. Yeah.
in the library, reading, learning how to read, man.
Yeah.
I didn't do track and field because I was fast. I didn't do soccer, didn't do any sport. I was just learning how to read. And one day, man, that thing clicked.
Yeah.
And I made myself a promise. I said, if it clicked, I'm going to keep on learning until the Lord turn off the lights, until I leave this planet.
Right.
And that is my goal since.
Yeah.
And I've gone to Seneca College and left Seneca College and went to the United States to do undergrad in medical science. And then after that, I started thinking about having a family. But I said, if I go to medical school, then I won't have that time to put into my family as I want to, because then I have to choose between both. And then I went into psychology and then teaching, and then coming back here to Canada, I wrap all of that up in a package, and I disseminate that to my clients who are having these experiences that I've had the background experience, so I can actually help them.
That's awesome,
So
man.
that's where all of that come in, man.
That's
It's
awesome.
it's a wealth of knowledge and information, and that's what clients get when they work with me.
Okay, that's awesome, man. So tell us about, you're also an author, man. So many gems, so many gems. Tell us about the book, man. Tell us about the book. I know you have
Man,
a book. So you have a book coming out, but you have a book prior to that book, correct? Correct me if I'm not.
I have several
Yeah,
books. I have
yeah.
several books out there,
Okay,
man.
so let's talk about that. Yeah,
And this really is just to give to the testament
yeah,
of not me,
yeah,
but the greater part that's in all of us.
yeah.
The scripture tells us that greater is he that is in us. And I want to encourage, I'm always looking for the opportunity to encourage anyone that's listening to me. I'm not a religious individual.
Right.
What I am is a spiritual individual that is kingdom minded. Kingdom meaning it's a function.
Right.
One of my books, my first book, is called Work Your Words. This book right here.
Yeah.
Work Your Words came about when I was a teacher in Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm going to break each one down.
Yeah.
And the students, they look like me. they got the same paint job as me. You get the picture,
Right, right,
right?
right.
But they were told that you are not going to be anything. You from the hood, you're from the ghetto. And they struggled. And when I came on the scene, right after I left that program that I was in, and the Lord led me to into teaching, I didn't know what I was going to do after I left the doctorate program, right? And I prayed and I said, Lord, you gotta make a way. I don't know what I got a young son, and you took me out of this program. You better have a plan. And I'm like, I'm putting pressure on him.
Yeah.
And then he opened up a door, and then this district called me for an interview. Nigel, I did not apply for the job.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know how they got my information, called me in, went for the interview. I said yes. The principal said something that struck a nerve.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you got your work cut out for you. These kids are a mess.
Wow. The
I
principal
could have
said that.
easily taken that the wrong way. I could have taken
Yeah.
that the wrong way, but I said, no, this is not a mess. This is a message.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
going to take this mess and turn it into a message.
Mm-hmm.
And so work your words came because the kids were so doubtful. They struggled with self-esteem, low self-esteem. They didn't think they were going to make it out of the hood or whatever. And I tell them my story.
Right.
I said, bro, I couldn't read. I couldn't write. They said, Mr. Guy, come on, man. Stop playing now. Come on, Mr. Guy, keep it real now. I said, I'm telling you the honest truth. I said I was dumb as a bat. And people I used to hang around with did not waste time to tell me, bro, you're not going anywhere. You are dumb. You are a nobody. And I believed it for a little bit until I changed and gave that belief up.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I'm here.
That
I
part.
told them my story,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, you guys can do it. I encouraged them. I did motivational workshop for them. I stayed after school and worked with them. And I used portion of my check to buy lunch for these kids so they can come to tutoring. And so work your words came as a result of that. Because if you work the right words, the scripture said, let there be.
Right.
I can, I will, I'm doing it. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can only get better. There is nothing else to tell people that if you work the right words, you can change your life and change the world. Do you hear me?
Yeah,
This is not
powerful.
a saying. This is a way of life, bro. I'm getting too excited.
Yeah. That's good.
All right?
That's real good.
Sometimes I get my own way. I gotta calm down. The next book is based on my studies in anatomy and physiology, right? It's about 230 something page. It took me 6 years to write that book.
Wow.
Not because I didn't know how to write, but because I didn't believe I could. You know, the Lord spoke to me and he said, you're going to take all your knowledge that you're going into this medical field with, and you're going to use it to write a book to help people understand my kingdom. And I'm just like, yeah, right. You mean the same guy who couldn't read going to write a book? Yeah, right. And he said, yes, you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I disobeyed for 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Because and it wasn't so much disobedience, it's disbelief. I didn't think I can do it. Disbelief is another way of disobeying. And I didn't believe I could do it, Nigel.
Yeah.
And he kept telling me, it's time for you to do it. And one day, man, I sat down, and just a little quick backstory. When I came to Canada, things were tough. So I had to find a way to actually raise my family, right? I went from working in a factory to going back into the classroom to teach. And then I bought like a convenience store, and I was running a shop 17 hours a day.
Wow.
And then I'm in there just upset and frustrated. And then the Lord said, you need to write the book. So all the time I was in the shop for 16 hours a day, downtown Hamilton, I was writing the book. And I wrote the book, and then later on published the book. It's called The Anatomy of the Kingdom and the Power of Community.
Oh, wow.
It took the human body and helped people to understand that we are part of the body based on Ephesians 6 that says somebody's an eye, somebody's an ear, somebody is a leg. We all play a role. Right. Each joint supply. That goes back to making workplace more profitable and productive, because if everyone know who they are in the body, then the eye don't want to say I'm the leg,
right?
And then the hand don't want to say I am the ears. No, everyone creates a function, and the purpose of that book is to help people understand the anatomy of the kingdom, and together we are the power of community.
That's
That's
real.
the other book. And then there's another book that's called The Work Mindset. And
Yeah.
the next one that's coming out is called Win Where You Are.
Okay, so
God
talk
of
to us
mercy.
about that one, man. Win where you are. Talk to us about that one, because that one is the one that's coming out. Let's hear about that
It's
one. Yeah, yeah,
it's hot off the press, man. It's
yeah.
coming, and the purpose of Win Where You Are is
Mhm.
to help every professional and every individual who has ever been stuck somewhere and
Mm,
daydreaming about a future that they have never seen before. My background and working in the psychotherapy area, in the mental health area, we deal with people who are traumatized, and we deal
mm,
with people who have anxiety. So anxiety, I coin anxiety as the future you've never seen, but you are afraid that you have fear about meeting that future. So
mm.
anxiety is
Yeah,
about future events you've never seen before. You may see it mentally, but you haven't lived it yet.
right, right.
Depression is based on past lived experience
Mm,
that is actually holding you anchored in the past, and you're stuck and you can't move forward and you can't go back, but you're stuck in limbo and you don't know what to do. So Win Where You Are is helping us to create micro wins so we can take the win right now and celebrate every win as a progressive step to becoming who we're supposed to become.
right.
We cannot win tomorrow unless we win now. And every step is the qualification for the next level that's awaiting you.
That's
Win
hard.
today prepares you for tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
can't go to tomorrow unless you win to today, because your tomorrow is your today.
That's amazing, man. That is amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're looking forward to that, man. We're looking forward to that, man. That sounds like that's gonna. It's already changing lives, because I know you're using a lot of the strategies already when you speak to organizations and corporations
Yes.
and so forth, and getting a hold of that when people can actually read it for themselves and have it in their library. That's gonna be amazing too, man. Yeah,
What's great about this book,
yeah,
when the King of Kings and the Creator gave me the insight, and this was about 8 years ago,
yeah.
and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Because I was struggling to do some things to get into the speaking world. I struggled as a black speaker in Canada to make connections, to get on other stages and all, and it was a big struggle. I reached out to people ghosted me, people didn't respond to me, they didn't return my calls and all that stuff. So then the Lord, I had to go into myself, and I said, Lord, I have all of these skill set. I got all it. What do I do with them? He said, nothing is wasted, my son. The
Mm,
time is coming when I'm going to place you like a light on a hill that cannot be avoided,
yeah,
that cannot be ignored. And I had to keep working on myself. And what he was showing me, he said, you have to win where you are. Every time you win where you are by faith, it's a qualifying step for where I'm taking you.
that's
And then he
right.
said to me, you need to have it trademark. I scooped up all the monies that I can to get that thing trademarked. The book would have been out already.
Yeah,
But he said, you need to trademark this thing because this is going to be your platform moving forward. And
yeah.
so I spent all the money doing my trademark, getting all the .coms, all those things. He said, get ready, because this is going to be your platform moving forward, because too many people are stuck. And that's where
Mm.
we are right now. So the book is going to be dropping soon, but he wanted me to get the foundation, get trademarks in place to make sure you own the IP before you bring it to the world. And
That's
that's
that.
kind of what's been happening for the
That's
past
what's
couple of
up,
years.
man. Well, congrats on
Yeah.
that, man. We're looking forward to it, man. We've heard, we funny enough, we met like via LinkedIn, like a couple of months
Yes,
ago.
yes, but we
You
didn't
know?
we didn't really talk that much. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
brief, but it was an introduction, and here we are again.
yeah. Here we are again, full circle. So everything happens for a reason, man. And I'm
Yes,
glad to
sir.
have
Yes,
you
sir.
here and glad to hear your story and your journey and how you are impacting people and nations, man. And we truly appreciate you being here and being on the Champions Table and being on Love Bay Radio and talking globally to people about the things you're
Absolutely
doing
love
and
it,
what's
man.
happening. So we truly
Yes.
appreciate you, man. you know, and we're looking
Yeah,
forward.
man.
So
I'm
where
just
do people find you? Let's before we end this off, man, where can people find you? Where can people contact you if they want to use your services and so forth, man? Tell us.
Man, first of all, I just want to say much big up to, the Champions table. And we really talked a little bit about the table.
Yeah.
And so if you have a Champions table, you got a bunch of champions underneath the table who are holding the table up. So I want to give you big up and much props for that, man.
Yeah.
So keep being a champion underneath the table, because there's no table without the champions. You feel what I'm
That's what's
saying,
up. That's
right?
what's up. Yeah, yeah.
And I want a big shout out to Love Bay and all the crew back there. I want to tell you guys thank you for the opportunity. One thing that I'm doing right now, because in order to help individual become more resilient, you need an assessment. You need to know where you are. Because
Right.
if you don't know where you are, like a Google map, you don't know where you're going.
Right.
So I am giving away a free assessment for anyone who goes to andrewguyspeaks.com, and then they go to my website, scroll down, they're going to see like a little picture, a blue poster with a guy on there, a Caucasian guy. If you click on that thing, it will lead you to a quiz. You
Right.
can take that assessment to find out where you are resiliently. And then after, I personally will get on a call with you, and you have a free 30-minute coaching call with me to find out where the gaps are. So to find me, go to andrewguyspeaks.com, and you can find me anywhere on social media, andrewguyspeaks.com. You can pick up my books there. Anything you need, I'm always there, man. So anything you need, just reach out.
That's awesome, man. We thank you for that, man. And we are so happy once again for you being here. And we look forward to you coming and joining us again on Love Bay Radio for sure, man. And as we say in every episode, men talk, women talk, but the truth can't lie, and the truth will set you free. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Have an amazing evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Have a great one, and we'll see you soon. Peace.
Peace.